Hello everyone and welcome to Music Tech Meets the Soundboard. This is our amazing auditorium technician, Mr. Will Abrahams, and I'm only going to do this in one take, so if there's mistakes, deal with it. Also, get ready for some random crazy that. Oh, did everyone throw up? Okay, here we go. So today Will's going to take us through the soundboard, and this is our soundboard. And this is exactly what it looks like. This is the exact one you're going to be working with. So Will, now that we know a lot of the terms and definitions, can you give us direct application into when we look at this, what does it do?
Well, let's see. Well, let's start at the top. Right up here at the top, you're going to have your gain. So the gain is where you set your bass level for your input here. So this is where you make your initial adjustment for volume. Essentially, it's your volume knob. Down here at the bottom, this is your level. So this is where you make the minor adjustments to it. This is up top is where you set your bass level.
So major setting,
fine adjustments. Yep.
Okay.
Moving down from the top, this is your high. So this is your 3-band EQ.
And what color are those?
These are the blues.
Perfect.
So the first one is high. So this is going to take the upper section of the frequencies in the sound. So this is what you adjust if it's sounding tinny or if it's sounding too harsh. You take this down. If it's sounding muddy, you can bring it up, and that will help crispen the sound, make the sound more crisp. The middle, you shouldn't have to mess with much at all, but this is going to be where the majority of the vocal range is going to be. So this is going to be like the mid treble on your stereo. So you can do minor adjustments, but this shouldn't have to change much at all. Your low end, this is going to be for the bass. So this will be if you have a male voice and it's sounding muddy, take this out, bring the high up a little bit. So this will clarify, or if you're using playback, you take this up if you want to have a little bit more thump in the music. Moving down, you've got your pre or your monitor. This is going to give you, this will be the feed that goes to your monitor outputs or your headphone outputs. This is going to be a clean sound that will not change regardless of what you do, what you do here or what you do here.
So this is going to be raw.
This is pre, this is raw. This is before you make any adjustments to these
guys.
It's going to be your pre. The post will be post effects. So this is going to be after it comes back from whatever you're running it through. And then your pan is your left and right. So if you have a stereo signal, this is what you do to have it go left or right. You'll have it more out of the left headphone, more out of the right headphone, or speaker, or whatever you're using.
So pretty much the pan we should keep dead center. And the mid we should kind of keep dead center, right? As well.
The most you would use the pan is if you have a source coming in that is two signals, so you have two cables coming out of a stereo source, and you have one that's running your left and one that's running your right, then you would pan these all the way to the left or all the way to the right.
So that it's only picking up those individual sounds.
Correct.
Did everyone get that? So say channel 1 was designated simply for your left view, then down here you would want to pan all the way left. Does that all make sense? Okay, channel 2, if we wanted it to be designated to your right signal, then down here on the pan it would be all the way right.
And what that does is it eliminates any of the left signal in your stereo signal from coming to your right output. And so
Does that all make sense?
Those. Yep.
Awesome. Now, what are some of these other things over on this side? These output things.
These outputs. So your main outputs or your main speakers are controlled by the master slider over here. So this is going to control your main left and right output.
And where do we normally want that slider? I see sometimes, a lot of people are like, oh, look, more power, more volume. Is that good?
On most of these, you're going to want them to have, you want to start them out at 0. That gives you room to move up if you need to, or bring it down if you need to. Similar to the level settings at the bottom of your channels here. you'll see that there's a 0 at the top center. That gives you room to move up in volume and room to move down in volume.
And those are your minor adjustments, right?
Right.
So then if I want to start at 0, then that means that my gain is now the other source that should be maybe adjusted individually. If
Right.
all of the channels are coming out of my main board, then that means my gains are all going to look different, right?
Right. So when you're setting, because each signal is going to come in a little bit differently, either a different vocalist, different equipment, the level coming out of it is going to be different. So you always set your level here at 0, you set your main at 0, and then you set your initial levels here. Then over the course of whatever you're doing, if you need to make fine adjustments to each individual channel, you do that with your levels. If you need to make minor adjustments to the overall sound coming out of your speakers, you do that with your master.
But to recap that, so the main should be at 0, then the individual level should be at 0.
Right.
And once those two are set, then when you're testing out an individual, then you go and individually mess with that.
Right.
So I shouldn't mess with the top and then go to the bottom. I should mess with the bottom and make sure those are at 0.
Right. 0 is your initial starting position for all of these. 0 is the beginning, and then you go from there. So you set these at 0 to start with, set your base levels with the top with the gain, then you can come back over the course if you need to make adjustments. Everything's right there and easy.
Cool. Now, what are all these funny little white things and like these two and these white buttons, and some of them say tape to control, tape to mix, and these down here say contour, and these 80 hertz low. What do all those mean?
Well, starting at the top, this is what controls your post. So when you set your levels here to post, this sends this signal to here. So this is your master control for all of these levels here.
Okay.
So this is if you're sending it to another source for an effects processor or another outboard piece of equipment. This is your volume for your headphone jack here, which is all of your monitor mix here. So this controls which channel and what level is being sent to your headphones, so you can make your own mix there or your own personal monitor mix there. And then this is the master control for that. This is your the tape USB to control. What is that? So this just sends different signals to different places. So if you have your tape input or your control room output here, this sends anything going from one input, automatically switches it and sends it to your control room output.
Got it. So we shouldn't have to mess with either one of those.
Nope, you should never have to really mess with
Perfect.
either of those.
Awesome.
These take your tape or USB input and sends it into the mix, into your main mix.
Got it.
So this would send it to the control room, which is another set of speakers you could set up for inside a booth or inside of your own personal mix.
So that way the booth could hear it, but no one else will, and it's outside of your actual mixing.
Right.
Perfect.
This is your monitor send and your FX send. So this sends it to here.
Initially,
this sends it to, So this is your
So
master
these
for
two-
These send it to here, and then this is your.
So initially, these two are going to be simply to send it to either your control
Right.
or to your headphones.
Correct.
So again, we're not really going to mess with these two at all.
Your contour is going to give you a basic slope. If you look at all of the frequencies that are in your sound, so you have everything from your low end up to your high end, this is going to give you a nice smooth contour for those frequencies to start with.
And that does it automatically, so we don't have to do it?
Right, and then you can fine tune each individual one with the blue dials up here. But this is going to say, rather than having everything flat at 0, this is going to say, okay, we're going to go low, up into the mids, and then drop off a little bit at the high. And so it's going to give you that nice even contour.
And that does it all by itself?
Yep.
That's a pretty cool button. So should we have that depressed then?
Probably.
Okay.
Unless you are running something where you don't want to affect any of the frequencies coming through and you want them clean from the source to there.
And that'll probably be a Music Tech 2 thing once we really get into it.
And then if you are running stuff generally with vocals or with speech, you're going to want to do the last one here, which is your low cut, anything under 80 hertz. So this
So-
gets rid of the pops. It helps get rid of the booming sound.
So describe hertz one more time, because I know on these upper three here, these all say hertz. And so mid, and they also have these dB things. Can you define dB and then hertz and kind of where I'm going to find those?
So dB is going to be is the abbreviation for decibels, which is your sound pressure level. So that's volume, essentially. And then hertz is the measurement of the wavelength of sound. And so sound travels in a wave. The longer the wavelength, the lower the sound. The shorter the wavelength, the higher the pitch. And so each section of sound is broken up into a band of frequency measured in hertz.
So longer and shorter.
Right. And so 80 hertz are long, short waves. And so the low frequency, the 80 hertz low cut will take off anything that is below a certain frequency of sound.
And who usually is in 80 hertz or lower? Is that like bass instruments, the voice?
Some of the bass instruments, usually it's below. It's going to be below your vocal range, and so it's going to be the pops. If you see someone with a microphone and you get the pop, pop, pop when they're saying their P's or their plosives, their P's, their T's, anything like that, and you get the low P or low pop sound, or if they have the microphone right up here in their face and you have what's the proximity effect, where all of a sudden it gives it a boost. That helps eliminate some of that, and it helps give you a clearer, cleaner sound.
So just for us, as we're recording an individual vocalist, perhaps, we should definitely have that depressed.
Yeah, I would say the only time you wouldn't want to have that pressed is if you were playing something back through here that you want that heavy bassy sound.
So again, that's probably a music tech thing. So in music tech 1, we're probably going to leave the contour depressed and the frequency 80 hertz cut
Right.
depressed.
Anytime you're doing vocals, those two things should be pressed.
Awesome. Well, I think this was a great first initial step, and we're going to have a lot of time. We're actually going to be bringing Will into class here soon. But Will, thanks for all your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.